Just when America has reached a breaking point with division, visionary influencer Danni Benson's I'm Proud of You Sis bro movement taps into the pulse and heartbeat of a culture radically torn. But this loving mom's voice of reason and calm has received national recognition.
How'd you balance having your children and always traveling with the Yankee organization?
When I became a dad, I said that I would always love like a mother.
I feel like I have to try certain things or act a different way because I know some people or some kids.
So join Danni Benson as she celebrates her special guests on her show and highlights their gifts and contributions to our world.
Hi everyone, happy Wednesday. Thank you for joining. I'm proud of you, sis. Hi, I am Danni Benson. I'm hoping that everyone is having a great week. I have, of course, an amazing guest. I'm going to say this every single week. But all my guests are amazing, and I am proud of each and every one of them. So I'm so happy she's here. So let me ask you a question. Have you ever wanted to be an author of your own story, your own books, children books, your experiences, wanting to give advice, just a book of information or a book of nonfiction or fiction or just anything that you want to just, put a book out. That is why I have Linda Williams here. She's an expert. She has written 4 books and she teaches people how to become an author of their own books, how to get your books out there. She supplies the tools and the know-it-all because she has done it several times. So I know I'm a mom. There's a lot of people who are looking for side hustles. You can actually write a book and you could put it on Amazon and you could get residual income. Just promote it a little bit, let people know that it actually exists. People can find it. But so many people are all about information these days and want to learn. I always want to learn. I think I want to learn until one day I can't learn anymore. That means I'm not breathing because I love to read books and I'm trying to get my kids to really love to read books how I love to read books. But reading books is acquiring knowledge, and the more knowledge you have, the more power you have. So remember that. I know, I have my kids, they're on the iPad, and I'm always like, please go to Epic Books. Please read a book. Our school has this program where the kids have to read at least 40 minutes a day. Reading is fundamental because it's exercise for the brain. The more information you get into your brain, the more I just feel like it sustains it. But I want to welcome Miss Linda Williams here. I am so proud of her, sis, and I want to give her flowers. Hi, Miss Linda. How are you?
Good, Danni. How are you?
I am so well. First of all, I'm so excited that you're here. We had a long conversation a couple of weeks ago, and it was such a pleasure just speaking to you and just learning about you and your purpose in life. I just want to give a side note. She also does etiquette classes for anyone out there. Our kids need it, but she goes to schools and she teaches etiquette classes. So I just want to put that as a side note as we're talking about her as an author and helping people out there to learn how to write books. But I just wanted to put it out there too. She has so many purposes in this life. So thank you, Miss Williams, for coming on the show. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I am great. So let's talk about, how did you start? When did you decide you wanted to be an author? What happened?
Okay, so I really can't say I decided I wanted
to be an
author. This is a true story. In my business as an etiquette consultant, I was approached by actually my pastor who was talking about how people behave in church. And this was back in 2008. So this was a while ago. And he looks at me and he says, you should write a book on church etiquette. And I thought to myself, I don't know how to write a book. I don't really want to write a book. But it was like a seed that was planted. So I'm like, okay. So I did some research, saw that there really weren't a lot of books out there about church etiquette. So I started writing this book. I took my weekends. My children were still in school at the time. I took weekends and evenings and wrote, and then I finished it. And I'm like, okay, now I've written this. What do I do with it now? Then I had to figure out how to get it published. And it was just, I love doing it. I didn't realize until I started writing the book that I've always liked to write. Even classes in college, I got the best grades on the ones that I had to do term papers on. So writing is something I've always loved to do, but I never thought about turning it into a book until someone said it to me.
Well, first of all, that is amazing because you were supposed to meet that person for that person to flick a light.
Mhm.
Because if you never met this person, you could have been doing something else. Correct?
That's right. I would have been doing etiquette workshops and never even known that I was really meant to write not one book, but 4.
So then, okay, so when you finished writing your book,
Mhm.
what was like the next? Okay, I know you have to publish it. Like, what did happen? Did you have to do research? How do you know if there's a good publisher, not a good publisher, good reputation, not a good reputation? Like, where do you start? Well, first of all, when you write your book, do you have to get a publishing company to help you write the book, or how does that process even begin?
Not necessarily. It depends. It depends on what you want. And, in this day and time, there are so many different ways to publish a book. You can go through a traditional publishing company who will take it from you and, go through it, edit it from soup to nuts. They will market it for you. But again, if it's a traditional publishing company, their bottom line is to make money. Now, I'm not saying your bottom line is not to make money, but you have a story you want to tell. And so the traditional publishing company may change your story to make it more marketable, which you may like or may not like. That's, it's a personal preference. Or you can go the self-publishing route where, again, you can pay for services where they will edit, market, do all of that for you. And these days, you can even go on Amazon, set up an account, publish the book yourself, do your own marketing, and it costs you next to nothing. So it depends on what you're looking for, what you want out of your book. And I will say that in this day and age, signing with a traditional publishing company is difficult unless you already have books out there or you're a famous person. It is difficult, but self-publishing is a good way to go, and it's a reputable way to go these days.
Okay, so when you do self-publishing, who actually produces the hard copy of the books? Like, you write it. What do you do next? After you finish writing the book,
Mhm.
what do you do next?
So the next thing you do is you need to have the book edited, because we can write the book and we can go through it and read the manuscript and it looks great to us, but we're seeing what we want to see on the page. We don't necessarily see what's actually on the page. So you need an editor to go through it, make the corrections, look at the content, say, oh, chapter 2 should really be chapter 5, all of those things, because we're writers, but we're not professional editors. So the next thing you need to do is hire an editor. And once that's completed, then you can decide which way you want to go with the publishing. And if you go with self-publishing, there are a lot of reputable self-publishing companies out there. It takes a little research, or I'm a certified book coach. So if you hire a certified book coach, they will help you through this entire process, because it is difficult and it's a little overwhelming, especially when you do it for the first time.
Well, as you just said, you are certified author coach, author consultant.
Mhm.
Please, right now, give out your handles for the people who are intrigued and want to actually talk to you and have a one-on-one with you.
Okay, so the best way to do that would either be to go to my website, which is www.etiquetteandwritingconsultancy.com, and there it is on the screen. That is the best way to contact me. And actually, I give people a 30-minute free consultation We'll talk about what is your story? What is it that you want to write? How do you want to write it? What kind of book is it? And then we talk about what you're really looking for in a book consultant. Do you need somebody to hold your hand all the way through? Or have you already written it and you just need someone to start editing it? And then we can talk about what the process would be. And then we can go from there as far as what your needs are and what the services are that I can provide for you.
Do you also read the story and say, is this a good story? Is this a bad story? Is the story sellable? Like, are you in a consulting in that aspect also?
I do.
Or
I do. And, it's not really about whether it's a good story or a bad story. It's your story. So if you wrote it, you feel strongly enough about it to feel like you have something you want to say. And I always tell my writers, try not to get caught up in, I'm writing a book and publishing it because I want to make money and become famous and write a bestseller. I'm not saying that you shouldn't hope to do that, but that should not be your motivation. Your motivation should be you have a story or you have information that other people will be interested in, or you have a novel that you think people will love and you want to put it out there. You have to be the one that is motivated by your book. You have to believe in what you're writing. I can look at it. I can give you an opinion. Any book can be a good book if it's edited correctly and marketed correctly, and you know who your audience is. But the bottom line is, why are you writing the book?
so please let the audience know the books that you have written so far.
Okay. So my first book, as I said, was Church Etiquette, a handbook for manners and appropriate behavior in church. And then 3 years later, my second book was Church Etiquette for Doorkeepers, which talks all about how ushers and the people who stand at the door to greet people, how they should behave when members and guests come into church. And then my third book, which I actually published just before we shut down for the pandemic in 2020, is Excuse You, the Benefits of Living Courteously. And it talks about how courtesy is not just for other people, but it's for you, and how you benefit as a result of being courteous to other people. There are a lot of stories in there about experiences that I've either had or people have shared with me about the courtesy of other people, because I believe that courtesy is really, it's dying. It's a dying skill. And this book, I believe, will help people to understand just how important it is in our society. And then my fourth book, which was just published in December, is called Success on Your Knees, a 7-month devotional for entrepreneurs.
Wow, tell me more about that book since this book has been recently released.
Okay, so this book is really, it's a different way of looking at being an entrepreneur. And, we look at ourselves when we are in business. We're in business to make money. I mean, that's just a given. That's why.
Mhm.
But we also have a gift, hopefully, that we've been given. And that gift is what we are using. We're using those skills from that gift to try and make our business successful. This book was actually birthed out of a business ministry at my church. And I was meeting with a group of people who either wanted to start a business or they were in business, but they needed some spiritual guidance, because entrepreneurs who are people of faith are a little different. They have a little bit different motivation. It's about helping other people. It's about putting their gifts out there for people to benefit from it. And so this book is 7 months, a daily devotion for 7 months to show you how to be an entrepreneur of faith and the things that you need to focus on, like, why are you in business? How is your business helping other people? And there are daily scriptures that are included, and then a commentary to go with it, and then a reflection at the end. And there are different sections to it. First, you have to look at yourself. Then you have to look at your business. Then you have to look at your faith. And then you have to kind of bring it all together. And I also have started doing workshops on how to become an authorpreneur in 10 quote unquote easy steps, because it's not really easy, but it can be made easier, because when you are an author, you're also a business person, because your business is to market and sell your book. So it also gives some information on that as well.
So are you going to have any seminars?
I do. I actually have one that's set up already for March 12th. It's going to be in Westbury, New York at the Westbury Public Library. And I'm in the process of setting up other workshops and seminars as well. So if anyone is interested in contacting me to do one of these workshops on becoming an authorpreneur, especially if you're looking to write a book and publish it, you need to know the business aspect. Even if you are going through a traditional publisher, if you are able to do that, you still need to know the business aspect. So if you were interested in that, please contact me on my website to set up a date for me to come and do a workshop for you.
Okay, so I finished writing my book. I have the editor. How do you find an editor? Do you Google the editor? Is it someone, like, how do you find an editor?
Well, as a certified book coach, I do have resources
Got
for
it.
editors, because just like in any other industry, there are people who are skillful, experienced, and ethical as editors. And there are people who put a website up and say, I'm an editor, but they're really not experienced or skilled to be an editor. So I also guide my writers in choosing an editor that's good for them, depending on, the genre of their book, how long it is, what they're looking for in an editor. If it's just proofreading, they think that, they don't need a content editor, although I really do encourage them to get content, because again, you may think that your book is in the right chronological order, but another pair of expert eyes may say, no, we need to change some things. And you want your book to be the best quality that it can be.
And then from editor, then we have to now publish the book.
Right. So then we go into the publishing process. We talk about, again, what it is that you want from your book. If it is a traditional publishing company that you're looking for, then I work with my writers to find the right traditional publishing company. It's a process involved. You have to send them your manuscript. You have to send them samples of your chapters, and it has to be done in a certain way. Each publishing company looks for different criteria. If you don't send it to them properly, it gets thrown out. So it's a process. If they decide they want, I'm sorry, go ahead.
But before that process,
Mhm.
do you have to get a book cover, illustration, or how does that, is that after the publishing, or you do that before the publishing aspect?
You can do it either way. Like with my latest book, I actually took a photo while I was on vacation. And when I showed it to my publisher, and by the way, I do have an excellent publishing company. Her publishing company is what we call a hybrid. It's part traditional and part publishing. She's an amazing publisher. Her name is, the company is Annie Jean Publishing. And I really just want to throw that name out there because she is an expert. She really is. But in this case with my book, I had the photograph. She submitted it to her illustrator that she deals with, and then he was able to format it so that it was the cover for my book. In most cases, you work with an illustrator once you determine who your publishing company is, and they will help you with the book cover. But that kind of comes after the editing, after you have decided who your publishing company is, after you have decided the format. Is it going to be paperback? Is it going to be hard copy? Is it a self-help book? Is it a novel? All those questions have to be answered. So the book cover, it's something that you should keep in your mind because book covers are very important. They can make or break your book. And I always,
How so? How so?
because when you walk into a bookstore and you
Mhm.
pick up a book, I'm going to ask you this question. What do you look at?
Um, it depends. Okay. Well, I look book how shiny it is. I
Okay.
like maybe the
Right.
texture of the book.
Okay.
Sometimes I don't like flat pictures. I like to see if there's like texture on the cover. So it's like it's to each its own
Mm-hmm.
type of thing. I'm
Yes.
I'm mostly in the children's section sometimes because my kids like especially love to go to Target and like sit there and like read through the books to find out what books they want to buy.
Right.
So you're right, because if the cover intrigues the child would run and just pick it up and start opening up to read it.
Yes.
So something about that book cover has
Yes.
to connect with that person's soul.
That's right. That's right. So for adults, the first thing you usually do when you're, browsing through the bookstore and you pick up a book, it's because the cover, not even the title, the cover hits you. And you pick it up, you look at the title, and the next thing you do is you turn it over and you
Mhm.
read the book jacket to
Yeah, I
see what
know.
the book is about. So book covers are extremely important because that's what catches the reader's eye first. So, yes, it is. And the illustrators that my publisher works with, they are very experienced. They take into consideration the type of book, the title of the book, the age group of the book. There are a lot of things that go into determining what the book cover looks like.
So let me ask you a question. How much would you approximately invest in doing a book?
Again, it depends on what
Yeah.
you're looking for. And as I said, you could go into Amazon Kindle and print the book for yourself. And, really they upload it for free. I mean, once you start selling the book, they do, they take a royalty, but you can
Yeah, what is the royalty? Because I hear Amazon probably takes more than what you make. Like what is like the royalty?
To be absolutely honest with you, I don't remember what the royalties are off the top of my head, but I will tell you this. Um, if you go to Amazon Kindle and on the internet, you can go into the site. It will explain everything to you. Now, I know people who have published their books through Amazon Kindle, and they've been very satisfied with the royalties. Usually, royalties run anywhere from 30% to 50%. I can't hear you.
Meaning that I get 50 and Amazon gets 50?
Yes. Or they get 30 and you get 70.
And then they do all the shipping. Like
And
once
then
the
they do
person
the shipping, yes. And it's what we call print on demand. So it's not like you have to purchase, 1,000 books and have them sitting in your garage and then you've got to try and
no.
sell them. As people order them, they print them. And if you want to print them, then there's a special discounted price for you to have books. So you have them on hand if you're going to seminars or doing book signings or that kind of thing.
Wow. No wonder everyone is doing entrepreneurship these days because it's made the process has become so much easier,
It has.
to actually have a side hustle. You could have a 9 to 5 and still pursue your goals and your dreams and your purpose. Like you
Yes.
don't have to just, you know, I tell people all the time that you could do both.
Yes,
You can do both.
it's true. And the wonderful thing about the internet is there are so many ways today to have what we call passive income. Even with being an author, once you publish this book and it's on Amazon. I mean, yes, you want to try and get the book out to as many people as possible, but you could just publish it on Amazon and do a little advertising and people will buy the book. And every quarter you get a royalty check. So once you're finished writing it, if you don't want to do any more marketing, you don't have to, and you will still get a passive income. So it's a wonderful thing.
Wow. I didn't even know. Well, passive income is the best because you just put the product in there.
Yes.
And then it's like you get money without like exhausting like yourself.
Exactly. And you might have to do some work up front to get it started, but once you get it started, then that's it. I actually also have an online writing course through teachable.com. That also is passive income. People go in, they sign up for the course. I get paid. So it's wonderful.
But you have to teach the course, right? Or you just teach one course and they just keep playing it over and over again as they
It's
pay.
one course. So you actually set up the course in Teachable. It's a Christian writing course. And you set up the course. You give people the link to go in, they register, and they can either pay, the whole amount up front, or they can pay it in installments if they like. And then they have access to be able to go in and do this writing course that I have created. It has videos at the beginning of each section and tells you how to go through the process of writing a book, from the concept of what the book is going to be about, to the book's title, to actually writing the manuscript, how you go about figuring out your chapters, then the editing process, and then also the publishing process and the marketing. And then I also have coaching sessions. So you can purchase coaching sessions, and either 2 or 4 or 6. And then whenever we decide you want to have a coaching session, we have a 1-hour session. So that's included also with the course.
And how long you been doing this for?
Well, actually, the first person that I helped to write her book, it was 9 years ago. And I wasn't even a certified book coach. My best friend actually came to me and she said, this lady has written a novel. And she said, I think it's great. I want you to read the manuscript. It was like 250 pages. And she sent it to me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into? But I picked up the book and I couldn't put it down. And I helped her to publish that. And then a year later, I helped someone else. And that's when I realized that I really had this gift to be able to help people to publish their books. But I didn't get the certification until a year ago.
Wow. It took you like 8 years? 8 years later?
But in the meantime, I've still been helping people to publish their books. But the nice part about it is by the time I got the certification, which, gives you more validation, I've already got authors under my belt that I've helped to publish. So it gave me even more credibility.
Well, that is amazing. And you know what? I want to talk about something. You were talking about etiquette.
Yes.
And what do you think has happened to etiquette and morals and just the word kindness? Like, what has happened to it? Because I grew on etiquette, I grew on kindness, I grew on morals, I grew on treat others the way you want to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is going on in our society where I feel like the kids need to learn etiquette also?
A lot of things have happened. Some of them are things that have been good, like technology and social media, which are good things. But because of them, it has cut down on our social interactions. Also, I think that parents are so busy these days Children are so busy these days. I look at my grandchildren, and they're involved in so many things at a young age, and they're all good things. But it means that in order to remember to teach our children social behavior, good manners, it takes even more of a focus to do that. People don't sit down, families don't sit down and have dinner together the way they used to and talk about what the day was like, or, something that may have happened to your children at school. They don't do that as much. Businesses, a lot of them now are remote. So people don't even go into the office anymore. There's a lot of things that have contributed to the deterioration of etiquette and good manners. And I think that if we're not careful, we're going to lose it. And also, even our elected officials, our movie stars, our teachers, all of those people that used to be role models and used to show us and give an example of what good manners entails, what's right, what's wrong, what's appropriate, how you treat, your fellow man in a correct way. It's we're losing it. And I'm just sick about it, because you know what? We all live in this world together, and we all have feelings, and we all have emotions. We all get hurt when people don't treat us the right way, whether we show it or not. And the very least that we can do is be civil and kind to each other, and then teach our children how to do it so that the next generation doesn't lose it.
So civility is almost non-existent.
Yeah. And civility is the least you can do. I mean, nobody's talking about, doing exorbitant things to be nice. Simple things like saying please and thank you, holding the door open for someone, saying excuse me if you bump into someone. These days you bump into someone and you're afraid that you might get attacked. Even if you do say excuse me, people are just so impatient and volatile, and it's scary. It really is scary. But I think that if we could just take a step back, take a look at ourselves first, and then take a look at the people that we're in closest contact with, our children, our coworkers, and try to be the nice and kind person that we would like people to be to us. That's the first step. And that's some of what I talk about in my book titled Excuse You, The Benefits of Living Courteously. It actually starts out by talking about how courtesy began. It began in the days of chivalry, and was carried forward. But it has been lost. And then it talks about, what we can do to try and help to rejuvenate it, regenerate it. But
where does it start? Because my kids go to school, and every time, they have things about be kind to one another, be kind. What happens? Is it like a disconnect with the kids with the be kind, or like what is it like? Because they're teaching it in school. I go to my kids' school, I go in their classrooms, I go in the hallways, I see all this be kind, and is it just words, but it's not matriculating to action?
And see, I think that's part of the problem. We're saying it, but are we reinforcing it? And it not only has to be reinforced in school, it has to be reinforced at home. When you're out with your children, when you take them out to eat, or you take them to the mall or whatever, and they're not behaving correctly, you have to correct them right then and there. because they don't know any better. And unfortunately, if we're not taught the right way to do things, we tend to do them the wrong way. I guess that's just the way the makeup of our society is.
Yeah.
So we've got to focus on it and reinforce it. And adults, well, I don't know that there's a lot that we can do other than, with businesses, like when I do the business etiquette, and hopefully that kind of rubs off into their everyday behavior. But we have to start with our children, elementary school, middle school, high school, college, and in our industries, in our businesses, we have to go back to making people behave in a professional manner. And again, sometimes that's hard now because we are remote, but even with that, there are rules. This remote working brought up a whole new set of etiquette rules, such as people being on Zoom calls and eating their breakfast, or people being on Zoom calls with their feet up on the table. There has to be some decorum. There have to be some rules because you're still at work and you're still in a professional position. But if
or dressing appropriately.
dressing
I don't
appropriately.
even know
That's
what
only from
happens
the top up. We only have to do it from the top up now. It doesn't matter. You can be in your pajamas, but be dressed right from the waist up.
I'm just trying to figure out what happened because we're not all on the same page anymore.
No.
Like with my kids, it's constantly say thank you, say you're sorry, say excuse me, hold the door. You know how sometimes you hold the door. I always hold the door for the next person to come. Like I pass it. I don't just walk in and just don't hold the door.
Exactly.
I see people do that to me, and I'm just like,
I
can
know.
someone teach you you gotta be kind to one another, help
Yeah.
each other.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, we all bleed red.
Yeah.
You don't know.
You know what? The other thing is too, so many people are walking around on their cell phones, looking at their cell phones while they're walking, not paying attention to if they're bumping into someone or if they open the door and there's somebody behind them. It's a lack of focus. It's a lack
especially with the ear, especially listening to music.
Yes.
And they're on the cell phone listening to music. It's like they're in their own world.
That's right.
They're not really aware of what's going on. They're hearing the music. They can't hear the sound. They don't even see someone come up to them until it's like they're right in their face.
That's right.
It's just that we're all like lost. I feel like we're all lost in translation.
Yeah.
Everyone is in their little individual bubbles, I feel now.
It's true.
And it's not like a community anymore. It's like it's individuality.
Yeah, it's true.
And with thinking that way, some people feel like I don't have to be courteous. I don't have to be nice. Like,
and see, my reaction to that is, but you expect people to be nice to you. So
I just feel like that's a narcissism in things. Like I feel like
it is.
I feel like it's a narcissism. Like I'm the victim. You're nice to me, but I don't need to be nice to you. So then how can it go from one person to the other if everyone feels that way?
It has to start one person at a time. The only person that you can change is you.
Like Michael Jackson said, I'm looking at the man in the mirror. That's the only person I can change. That's the only person I can control. Yes. I can't control society. I can't tell someone else how to think. So it starts with you.
Right.
I went to church the other day, and this pastor said something. This pastor said, instead of you arguing or telling your spouse what they're doing, you need to just focus on what you're doing.
That's right.
And you need to just, if everyone would just focus on righting their wrongs, look in the mirror and righting their wrongs, then this world would be a peaceful and a pleasant place to live.
It's true. It's true.
But I think because of narcissism, people can't actually look at themselves and admit or take accountability or responsibility that I am not acting 100% as a good human being.
Right. And they don't want to. It's easier to blame someone else for what's going on because you don't have to take responsibility, but we are responsible for our own actions. Nobody else is responsible for that. So if there's something that's going on in your life, people are rude to you, or seems like everybody, you need to look at yourself and say, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Let me try doing something to fix myself and see if that makes a difference.
But also the pastor said, which is good.
Mhm.
Since you fix yourself, then it spreads, right?
Exactly.
It
Exactly.
spreads. If
That's right.
I am not going to allow anyone to change the good soul that I have. So as long as I can be good, in the hopes that I am the example,
Mhm.
then that is the only way that maybe someone else can pick it up, like my children,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
My children might not have manners, for an example, but
Mhm.
my children mimic me and look at me. So if they see me having the manners, like I constantly hold doors, I'm saying it. I'm not
Yeah,
even telling. I'm
that's
constantly
right.
saying thank you.
Right.
We're sitting down. I'm saying please be courteous to the waitress. They're humans too. Please
Right.
be courteous to the janitor. They're
Yeah.
humans too. Like,
Yes.
don't look at titles
Right.
to all of a sudden, like, okay, I gotta respect this person because they're the president of the United States. Every
Yes.
human being deserves respect. So when my kids see that I respect every human being,
Mhm.
then I'm praying that they see that and then they take a change within them and
Yes.
will mimic and do the same thing.
And see, that's a very important point, because as parents, we not only have to tell our children how they should behave, we have to behave in the way that we're telling them to behave. Because if we're telling them what they should do to be polite and be kind, but they see us being rude, it's going to go right over their head, and they're going to be rude just like they see their parents doing. So it's not just about telling them how they should behave. As you said, we have to actually do it ourselves. Children learn by example more than they learn by what we tell them.
And that is the God honest truth. And if every human being would just take responsibility for themselves,
Yes. Yeah,
this world would be such a better place
it
to like
would.
live in together.
Right. Exactly.
It doesn't take so much. I went to my kids' classroom and all the essays on the wall was like, stop the fighting, stop the fighting.
Mhm.
My kids are in fifth grade, and I'm like, wow, these kids are really watching adults fighting all the time. They turn on the TV, adults are fighting. They're
Yeah.
looking at politicians, they're fighting, calling each other
Yes.
names.
That's
The
right.
kids are sitting there like, you're
Yes.
this is not what you're supposed to be doing. They're in school, elementary school, learning about kindness, and they're watching adults like fighting each other and calling each other names. It's like
Yeah.
it's an oxymoron.
And that's exactly what I was saying before, that the people that our children see on television don't have the same sense of decorum and decency and civility that they used to have. And so it's kind of working against what we're trying to teach them. But again, with your children, like with me, it was like, look, my house, my rules. So yeah, you may see those people on TV acting crazy, but I better not see you acting that way, because that's not how I behave, and that's not how I'm teaching you to behave. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's very true.
I mean, as adults, we have to do better because the trajectory of how our country is going
Yes.
is 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 it's getting sadder and sadder every single day, especially when we tell our kids not to call people names.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
watching TV and grown adults. It's not even movies because kids know like
No.
it's a movie. They know it's not real, but in
Right.
actual real life, grown adults are calling each other's names, and the adults are fine with it. I'm sitting there
Yes,
like, how is
exactly.
that? I don't understand. When has it been okay to name call people
Yeah.
and then people just co-sign and say, well, it is what it is. Like, since
Yeah.
when was it is what it is?
But you know what's missing? Respect
Oh,
is what's missing.
my dad used to always tell me, I'd rather someone respect me than love me.
Yes. Yes.
because respect will filter to love.
Yes. That's
If
right.
it's love, it doesn't mean they respect you.
Right.
And that is what I feel like we're missing. We're missing the respect of each
Yeah.
other as human beings.
It's true. It
And our
is.
kids are not seeing that. So they're learning two different things. And that's why it's not really attaching to them, the
Right.
civility.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
like you said, they're learning it. But then when they see adults acting this way, they're like, well, they're acting crazy.
Yeah.
So it goes, the civility goes one ear out the other. And then the kids
Right.
will start being rude to each other. That's when you get the mean girls, the
Yes.
bullying.
Exactly. Yeah. And the thing is, everybody's different. We're all there's no two people that are alike in this world. And when I do my workshops for elementary schools, I say to them, I want you to think about, I don't want you to look at someone else and see what is different about them than you. I want you to look at them and see what's the same. And when you really do that, you see that we have more things that are the same about each other than there are that are different. We all have two eyes, two ears, a nose, a mouth. We all have arms, legs. We all have a brain. You can run down the line of things that we have that are the same. But we don't look at that. We look at what's different, and then we try and um, put down or make fun of what's different about someone rather than looking and finding that commonality.
So if anyone out there want to have you come and teach etiquette, where can they find you?
My website is the best place. There's information on there about my services as an etiquette consultant. As I said, I do workshops for elementary students, middle school students, high school students, and college students. And I
And
also,
then
go ahead.
is it well, do the schools pay you? Like, would you, when you go into a school, if the school was interested in having you come in,
Yes.
is it a nonprofit? Does the school pay you, or how does that work?
I am an independent consultant.
Okay.
So I would go in, I have a conference with the principal or the superintendent of the school district. We talk about what they believe their needs are for the students as far as appropriate behavior. Obviously, it's different for elementary students than high school students or college students. And then I would put together a program. We would figure out whether it would be one session, two sessions, whether it's business etiquette, everyday etiquette, dining etiquette. And then I would put together a proposal. We'd come to an agreement on the fee and then the date and the time that we would do it.
Well, I just want to tell you, I am so proud of you, sis. I want to give you your flowers. I mean,
Thank you
this
so
is
much.
information that our audience would so appreciate having, especially like learning how to start a book. I
Yes,
mean, a lot of moms out there, a lot of people have, it's a great side hustle, like you said. It's a great thing that you could do to get passive income.
yes.
So I want to thank you so much on coming on. I'm proud of you, sis. And just real quickly, we only have a couple seconds left. Just
Okay.
let them know, when is your seminar in March again?
It's March 12th. It's
Okay.
at the Westbury Library in Westbury, New York.
And
Yeah.
do you know the time yet?
The time.
Will it be on your website?
It will be on my website. And if there are any, whatever other ones are coming up, will also be on my website. And again, if you're interested in having me to do a workshop, please go to my website to the contact section, get in touch with me, and we will set something up.
Well, I want to say thank you so much for coming on. I'm proud of you, sis. Thank you, audience, for watching us.
Thank you.
And we will thank you. And I learned so much from you. So I definitely probably will come to that workshop in Westbury on March
Okay.
12th.
Wonderful.
Yes, because I want to be an author one day. I want to be an author.
Wonderful. I'd love to help you.
Oh, yeah. I think I want to do children books. I think that's like my genre.
Okay.
Around.
That's good. I can help you with that as well.
Oh, perfect. So I'm excited. I'm excited to be working with you. And thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I'm proud of you, sis. See you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.